I'm super excited to have these Lone Rider Moto lights finally installed on my KTM. This is my new bike for the 2025 season, and Lone Rider has been so kind to send these Moto lights to me. I think they sent it to me in around January, beginning of January. So I had them for a few months and I finally got to install them. So this is going to be a first impression and sort of how the installation process was with the lights. What's up, my biker friends? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be short for first impression and maybe installation experience. I'm not going to go through the full installation. I didn't record it because there is a great video out there from Alex working with Lone Rider. He has a very detailed instruction, not for a KTM, but for a BMW. It's a very detailed installation instruction video. That's the one I used. I watched that video and then I just kind of transferred the steps to the KTM, and it's really, really good. So from the hardware installation to the software installation that you have to do, awesome video. You'll find it on the Lone Rider channel. I don't think you can make a better video than that, so I didn't even attempt to do that. Few words on the installation. As a general note, it's probably been the easiest installation I've ever made on putting lights or any kind of accessory on the bike. You wouldn't think that, because if you look at the lights and they seem massive, they have this whole easy can thing in there, so you'd think this would be quite a complex installation, but it was the opposite. And the reason is there's really just a few parts, so I will spare the unboxing as well, because there's only a couple of things in the box. There's the lights, and then you have the easy can. I'll go into that in a second, and then you have a bunch of cables. So it's really all you have in the box, which is really cool. So why is that so easy to install the hardware end of it? Because all you have to do is just connect the EasyCan, and the EasyCan looks like a thumb drive. It's relatively small. It sits under the seat very close to the battery. There are two connection points to the EasyCan. One is battery power, which is really easy to do, and the other one is a connection point. I think it's the plug that they use to diagnose the system. It's pretty easy to find. It's also on the seat on this bike. I don't know where it is on other bikes, but I'm sure it's easy to find out. So it's just two connection points, and it's really easy to make. And then there's a couple of cables that come off that you have to route to the lights. That's it. Now, my previous 1290 Super Adventure R on the 2022 model. This is a 2024 model, so a brand new model, my fourth 1290 Super Adventure series from KTM. I had the SW Motec fog lights on there, and I had those on my very first 2018 1290 Super Adventure S model. So those lights came with me on 3 different bikes. Now this is the first time I have the Lone Rider Moto lights on here. So typically those smaller lights are mounted somewhere down here. And that's a good spot because it's still high up enough, and you can recess it a little bit, so if the bike falls to one of the sides, then that's not a big deal. One of the biggest concerns I had with the Moto lights is because of their size. I mean, they're massive. They're really big. I don't think there's any bigger lights than these. The Denali ones are probably the similar size, but they're really big lights. So I wasn't quite sure where to mount those, and obviously mounting them somewhere here isn't really going to work. There are actually no mounting brackets for it at the moment. I looked at other places as well, couldn't find anything. The only place I could find was, I think, Denali again. They have mounting brackets to mount the lights somewhere up here, and that looks super goofy. There's no way in the world I would mount massive lights like this right next to the headlight. It just looks completely goofy. I don't know whoever does that. So anyway, I wasn't quite sure in the beginning if I could find the right mounting spot, because I know there's a way to put them on the crash bars as they are now at the moment. But I was afraid that they'd be too far to the outside of the crash bars. So if I do ride off-road and the bike falls, I didn't want to break the lights. But even with the standard mounting equipment that you get from Lone Rider, you can mount them on the OEM crash bars. And, you know, on the R model, they come with crash bars. And you can mount them to the inside enough that hopefully when the bike tips over, the lights won't get damaged. And I think it looks good too. I think the proportions of these larger lights, having them a bit lower mounted, looks nicer as well. So I'm quite happy to have that they look really cool. The installation process was really easy too, because on the previous model you had to potentially take the tank off. for the SW Moto lights to route all the cables. There is a way to sort of fiddle a cable through the tank without taking it off, but I was afraid I would have to take tank off. It's not a big deal to take a tank off, but I have these bikes for 1 or 2 years, so I uninstall the accessories that I have. So the more I have to do when I sell the bikes, and removing a tank is one of those things I just don't want to do. It wasn't even necessary, and actually isn't a good idea to even remove the tank for this particular installation, because they're mounted so low. You don't want to actually route the wires on the tank. I didn't want to do it, so it was really, really easy in that regard, because I could just route it between the panels and the tank itself. They're thin enough cables and they fit really well. I didn't even have to use the extension for it, which is great. And also when they route under the seat to the EasyCan module, it's really easy to clip the cables off. So in case I do have to remove the tank, if there's any valve service that has to happen or something, it's really easy to just clip the cables off without having to remove them or remove the lights. You can remove that, remove the tank. It's a really, really easy install. So for that reason, that's one of the reasons why it's so easy to install. The second reason is a traditional light has usually a relay. So there is a little relay sitting in there, and if you know the channel long enough, you know that I've had some issue with the relay on the SW Moto fog lights. It isn't the fault of the manufacturer, it was just over time, and the way I installed the relay is that water got in there, and because of the water that got in there, I had some electrical malfunctions, and for the longest time I didn't know what it was. So it was really frustrating. I thought it was the bike initially, and then when the dealership did some troubleshooting, they found out pretty quickly that it was the relay and had water in it. So there's no relay on this thing here. It's just a single cable that runs from the EasyCan to the lights, which is really cool. It's also a differentiator to the Denali lights. They use a similar EasyCan module as well, but there are different circuits in the lights, because you have the sort of low beam, you have a high beam, you have this sort of that little halo light around it. So there's different circuits that if you buy, for example, a Denali light, you have different circuits that it occupies on the EasyCan. This one, it means different cables as well. So it's different circuits, it's separate cable runs. This one is highly integrated and digital, so it's a single cable that runs from the lights to the EasyCan, so it's just less stuff you need to install, which is really, really cool. So the hardware installation was quicker than on any other lights that I've had, which was a real surprise to me. Now you have to fiddle a little bit with the software end of it. So they have a software for a laptop that you can use, and you hook the laptop up to the EasyCan on the bike. It's not that hard. Again, the instruction video that Alex made is excellent. That's all you need. It's pretty simple software. So for first setup, you have to hook it up to a laptop. Not a big deal. It's just a USB plug that goes in, and then you go through the settings, making sure that you have the basic settings in there. There is a way on this bike, and I think on the BMW bikes as well, to make some changes without needing a computer. So you can use the left-hand controls on the bike. Here, there's the multi-controller on the KTM, and it would be the sort of the controller wheel on the GS models, where you can adjust the brightness of the lights after the fact, which is really cool. Certain things you can change, for example, the color of the halo, you need to hook a laptop up to it. But some of the basic changes in brightness you can do on the fly. So that also means you have no extra switch. It just switches on with the lights, and if you go in the high beam, it switches in the high beam. For my other fog lights, I had an extra switch in there, and it was a pretty cheaply made China switch. It worked and never had a problem, but you can tell it was just not very good quality. So you don't need to run extra cables and extra switch. So that's another reason why it was super easy to install. Very big surprise to me, I have to say, but it's nice because it was almost fun, and I was surprised how quickly I was done with the installation of it. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but of course I had to try it out in the dark, and I did some video footage that I can show. It doesn't really do a justice of how much more light you get out of these Moto lights, because if you use a digital camera, if there's more light coming in, it'll just dim it down. So with your eyes it looks very, very different. So I went through sort of a dark street, I went to a sort of a lit street in the city, and I turned the lights on, and it's absolutely amazing how much light comes out of these. No, I had the other SW Moto fog lights. They were pretty good already. I mean, you can tell it makes a difference. But this is, it feels like 10 times more light. I don't know if it's 10 times more light, but it feels like it. It's an insane amount of light. Now I don't ride much in the dark, and one reason is probably because I didn't have lights like these. I'm actually looking forward to riding in the dark with these, because I'm sure it's a lot more fun having plenty of light with it. But I usually don't ride much in the dark. One of the main reasons for me to have extra sort of accessory lights is I run them as daytime running lights. I want to be seen from oncoming traffic, so this is the reason why I had the fog lights in the first place, and that's why I run these lights as well. I don't run the halo here because, as cool as it looks, it doesn't put a lot of light out. So if you want to improve your visibility, then you probably have to turn the low beam on. So that's what I usually do when I ride it. I have the low beam turned on, and then you can adjust the light output. You know, if it's too bright, you can dial it down. I think I have it dialed to 50% at the moment. Not sure if it's going to stay that way. Again, have only used it a couple of times, but you can adjust the light output for daytime or for nighttime running. That's what I use it for most of the time. I just want to be seen by oncoming traffic. That's why I have accessory lights. And then, of course, if you ride at night with these lights, and if you turn the high beam on, this is when you get the sort of 100% light output. I set it to 100% light output on the low beams, on the high beams. And they've got this little middle light in there. It's like a spot light that's in there. Again, there's a very good video on the Lone Rider side that sort of demonstrates what it does. And it just shoots a small beam to the very end of the road. I haven't tested it out yet. It turns on at a certain speed. I think I had it set to 80 kilometers, and then just kind of ramps up and gets brighter and brighter. So it's for those longer, faster rides in the dark, and it just kind of illuminates the road ahead. And it's a huge safety feature. So again, I'd be quite looking forward to my night rides now. It's going to be a lot of fun having these lights on there. So it works well integrated. There's a few other things that you can do. You have that little function where you can sort of tap the high beam button, and it puts a strobe out. So if you want to say hi to someone or pass a car and it won't let you pass, then it gives you that extra sort of bling. If you want to do that, these extra things, you know, if you put it in the hazard, it will just alternate with the lights. And it's a little doodads on here, and they're kind of fun to have. But I think the main reason for me is just being more visible during the daytime, and having the option now for the nighttime riding, having so much light. If you have these lights, I don't think you need anything else. This is absolutely insane. It definitely a lot more than any car that I've seen. So super great. This is the first impression. Now I'm going to have a lot of tours coming up this year, so we'll see how these lights perform. There's a very good chance I'm putting at least 35,000 kilometers on it just in this season, in the next 6 months. See how they hold up, and just do a follow-up video and see how it is. Anyway, thank you, Lone Rider, for providing these. I didn't ask for them. They were so nice to just send them to me. That was really cool. Maybe a couple of words on Lone Rider, if I'm at the topic, because it was a bit of a surprise that, you know, out of all the manufacturers, Lone Rider, they were known for making luggage solutions. You know, they're semi-rigid bags and all this stuff, and all of a sudden they're jumping into the market of producing other accessories for the bike. And I have a wider range of accessories coming out this year, but you know, especially something that's so high-tech as a light, you know, and you know, their first attempt, I think that puts them at the very, very top of what's out there in products at the moment. You know, obviously I did some reading up on these lights and on the competition, and they absolutely nailed it. I mean, you know, with the light output, the functionality, the full integration of having just a single cable, and the looks of it too. I mean, any product that they make, it's not just functional, but it looks badass too. And I mean, there's something to it when something looks so great, and that transfers through everything that they make. So the Moto bags, you know, the semi-rigid bags, they're not just functional, but they look really cool. So you have all these other riders, you know, on Instagram riding around. Those bikes never see the dirt, but they put all the Lone Rider stuff on there because it just looks cool. And you know, having both the functionality and the cool looks, I think that's quite amazing. So anyway, I'm super happy. I'm super stoked to have these. I'll check back in to see how the long-term impressions are, but yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Until then, ride safe, stay awesome.